Have you ever felt that you're navigating life with a hidden lens? One that reveals layers of reality most people seem to ignore? MC1, if that resonates, then you're already familiar with the double-edged sword of profound awareness. We live in a world that often celebrates surface-level engagement, where simplicity is mistaken for clarity and ignorance is sometimes bliss. But what if I told you that your ability to see beyond the facade isn't just a gift, it's a liability that could cost you your peace, your relationships, and even your sense of self? This isn't about physical danger. It's about the psychological and emotional toll of perceiving truths that others willingly overlook. Imagine walking through a social event and feeling the undercurrents of every conversation. You sense the unspoken anxieties, the hidden agendas, the quiet despair behind polished smiles. While everyone else is engaged in a dance of pleasantries, you're hearing the discordant notes in the symphony. They ask, "How are you?" and expect a robotic "fine," but you hear the hesitation, see the flicker of pain in their eyes. Now, this isn't paranoia. It's perception operating at a frequency most have tuned out. And here's where the first layer of danger emerges. MC2, the inevitable isolation that comes with seeing too much. But isolation is just the beginning. What happens when your clarity becomes a threat to those around you? MC3, let's delve into the mechanics of this social masquerade. Society functions on a series of unspoken agreements to maintain harmony. We avoid digging too deep. It's like everyone is wearing a costume for a play that never ends. The roles are familiar: the confident leader, the happy parent, the loyal friend. But these are performances, carefully crafted to sustain the illusion of stability. When you possess deep perception, you're not just an audience member. You're the critic who notices the cracks in the makeup, the shaky delivery of lines. Your awareness exposes the fragility of these roles, and that makes people uncomfortable. They don't dislike you personally. They resent the mirror you hold up to their illusions. This resentment can manifest in subtle ways: whispered comments, exclusion from groups, or outright hostility. I recall a man named David who had an innate ability to detect dishonesty in business dealings. He could sense when a contract had hidden clauses or when a partner was concealing financial troubles. MC4, what did this cost him? Over time, he found himself sidelined in meetings, his insights dismissed as overly cautious or negative. Colleagues would roll their eyes when he spoke up, labeling him a pessimist. David wasn't trying to cause trouble, he was aiming to prevent it. But in a culture that prized optimism over objectivity, his clarity became a career liability. This is the paradox. The very skill that should make you valuable often renders you an outcast. Quote, "In a world of masks, the barefaced become threats." Now, let's explore the second danger, the internal conflict between speaking your truth and swallowing it. MC5, when you perceive something others don't, you face a dilemma every single day. Do you voice your observations and risk alienation, or do you stay silent and betray your own intuition? If you choose to speak, you might be accused of creating drama, of being too sensitive, or of imagining problems where none exist. I've seen this happen in friendships, where one person points out an imbalance in the relationship, only to be told they're reading too much into it. In families, a member who exposes dysfunctional patterns might be labeled the black sheep. The attacks aren't always loud. Sometimes they're quiet dismissals that erode your confidence over years. But if you choose silence, you pay a different price. Each time you ignore your inner knowing, you chip away at your self-trust. You start to doubt your own perceptions, wondering if you're indeed too analytical or paranoid. This internal division can lead to anxiety, depression, or a sense of living a double life. Quote, "Silence in the face of truth is a betrayal of the soul." I remember a client Sophia, who worked in a non-profit that claimed to prioritize transparency. She noticed consistent discrepancies in fund allocation and felt compelled to speak up. MC6. When she did, she was met with gaslighting, her concerns were downplayed, and she was told she didn't understand the big picture. Sophia retreated into silence. But the cost was high. She developed chronic stress and eventually left the organization feeling disillusioned. This brings us to the third danger, becoming a target for projected insecurities. MC7, when your presence reminds others of what they're avoiding, they may unconsciously direct their frustration toward you. It's a psychological defense mechanism. By attacking you, they deflect attention from their own unresolved issues. This isn't usually malicious intent. It's human nature to protect one's ego. For instance, in a team setting, if you highlight a lack of progress, those who've been avoiding the issue might blame you for lowering morale rather than addressing the problem. The fourth danger, often overlooked, is the exhaustion of constant vigilance. MC8. When you're always reading between the lines, your mental energy depletes faster than others. Social interactions become taxing because you're processing multiple layers simultaneously. While others enjoy small talk, you're deciphering body language, tone, and subtext. This can lead to burnout, making you withdraw further, which exacerbates isolation. Think of it like having a radar that's always on it, detects everything, but it also drains your batteries. I've spoken to many who describe this as empathic overload, where they absorb the emotions of those around them until they feel overwhelmed. The fifth danger is the distortion of your own reality. MC9. When you're constantly aware of hidden motives and underlying tensions, you might start to see deception everywhere, even where it doesn't exist. This hypervigilance can skew your perspective, making you cynical or distrustful. It's a slippery slope from perception to paranoia. For example, if you've been burned before for speaking up, you might become overly cautious, misinterpreting innocent actions as manipulative. This distortion can harm your relationships and mental health. So, how do we navigate these dangers? MC10. Is there a way to harness this perception without being consumed by it? First, it's crucial to find your tribe, people who appreciate depth and authenticity. They might be few, but connecting with even one or two individuals who understand your perspective can be validating. Second, practice discernment in sharing your insights. Not every observation needs to be voiced. Sometimes holding space for your own knowing is enough. Third, develop boundaries to protect your energy. This might mean limiting time in overwhelming environments or practicing mindfulness to stay grounded. Remember, your perception is a tool, not a trap. MC11. But what if the very systems we live in are designed to punish clarity? MC12. Let's consider historical figures who faced similar challenges. Think of philosophers like Socrates, who was condemned for questioning Athenian norms, or scientists like Galileo, who was persecuted for revealing truths about the universe. Their clarity threatened the status quo, and they paid a price. In modern times, whistleblowers in corporations or governments often experience isolation and character assassination. Their perception of wrongdoing puts them at odds with powerful structures. This isn't to say that perception always leads to martyrdom, but it highlights a pattern. Truth tellers are often marginalized before they're celebrated. Now, let's dive deeper into the psychological underpinnings. Why do some people develop this heightened awareness? MC13. Often it's born from early experiences, perhaps growing up in an environment where reading subtle cues was necessary for safety. Children in unpredictable households might become hyper-aware to navigate parental moods. This adaptive skill then carries into adulthood, becoming a default way of engaging with the world. While it served a purpose once, it can become a burden in stable contexts. Understanding this origin can help in reframing perception as a survival skill rather than a flaw. Quote, our greatest strengths often root in our deepest wounds. Another aspect is the role of intuition. MC 14. Many with deep perception describe it as a gut feeling or an innate knowing that bypasses logic. Science suggests this might be linked to the brain's ability to process information subliminally, picking up patterns that conscious thought misses. But in a culture that prioritizes empirical evidence, intuition is often dismissed as unscientific. This dismissal can make perceptive individuals doubt themselves, adding to the internal conflict. Embracing intuition as a valid form of knowledge is key to integrating perception healthily. Let's talk about coping mechanisms. MC 15. How can you maintain your clarity without losing yourself? One approach is through creative expression. Journaling, art, or music can provide an outlet for the insights that feel too heavy to carry alone. Another is seeking professional support, like therapy, to process the emotional toll. Additionally, practices like meditation can help in distinguishing between perception and projection, knowing what is yours to hold and what belongs to others. MC 16. But what about the positive aspects? Isn't there value in seeing deeply? Absolutely. This perception can lead to profound empathy, innovative problem solving, and authentic connections. The goal isn't to dim your light, but to learn how to wield it without burning out. Quote, the same depth that isolates also connects us to universal truths. Now, let's explore some practical steps for daily life. MC 17. First, cultivate self-validation. Trust your perceptions, even if others don't affirm them. Keep a record of times when your insights proved accurate. This builds evidence for your own reliability. Second, choose your battles wisely. Not every truth needs to be announced. Sometimes silent understanding is powerful. Third, develop a support network of like-minded individuals. Online communities or local groups focused on personal growth can be sanctuaries. Fourth, practice self-care to recharge your mental batteries. This might include nature walks, digital detoxes, or hobbies that don't require intense analysis. Fifth, learn to appreciate the beauty of surface-level interactions when appropriate. Not every moment requires depth. Sometimes casual chat can be a respite. MC 18, as we wrap up, remember that your perception is a unique lens on the world. It comes with challenges, but it also offers a rare perspective that can inspire, change, and foster genuine understanding. If this video resonated with you, if you felt the weight of seeing too much, you're not alone. Channels like What's Wisdom are dedicated to exploring these nuanced aspects of the human experience. If you found value here, please support this work by liking this video and subscribing to What's Wisdom. Your engagement helps us continue creating content that matters. Thank you for watching, and remember, your clarity is not a curse, it's a calling to see the world with eyes wide open.